cam.freetalklive.com. And yeah, there's a chat room there and the stream. And again, all of the shows, once we turn the cams on, are available at YouTube, which is youtube.freetalklive.com. We're talking about FOIA requests.
Yeah.
And some people have filed FOIA requests, including previous caller Michael.
Yeah.
He's out of Lexington, Kentucky. He's also connected with the 10th Amendment Center.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that briefly. I've been involved in a number of liberty-oriented organizations throughout, I'd say, the last 5 or 10 years. And one that always gets my donation every year is the 10th Amendment Center. And they really do promote, they combat a lot of what's wrong in this country right now, and that is the federal government assuming responsibility for things that just simply are not delegated to them in the Constitution. So I just want to remind everyone real quickly what the 10th Amendment says. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Now, I personally prefer, of the things in the Bill of Rights, aside from the first 5 words of the First Amendment that says Congress shall make no law, like those are my favorite words.
Yeah, just end it right there.
Just end it right there. But the 9th Amendment,
yes,
actually, comes before the 10th.
It does.
And a little bit broader, in my opinion, says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And which basically says just because the Constitution says that you have certain rights doesn't mean that's an exhaustive list.
Exactly. And that's an important thing to remember, that it doesn't talk about a whole lot of things in the Bill of Rights. Those laws that are set up to protect us, protect our freedom of religion, protect our freedom of speech, our right to bear arms, a trial by jury, and all those things that are covered sort of in the first half of our Bill of Rights.
Right.
What the 9th and 10th go on to say is, number one, we know we didn't list everything that is a right of yours, and it still belongs to you, even though we didn't mention it. There's your 9th.
There are some people that try to construe, well, the First Amendment only mentions this, the Second Amendment mentions this, the Third, the Fourth.
Right.
So therefore, that's an exhaustive list of your right. Well, no. The 9th Amendment says it's not an exhaustive list.
Wipes it all out. And where the 9th Amendment leaves off, the 10th Amendment picks up and says, and not only is it not an exhaustive list, but because we didn't, if we didn't name, it goes the other way. If we didn't specifically give the federal government the power to do X or to do Y, then sorry, federal government, those powers still remain with the people or with the states. And so that's a very powerful thing.
So how do you think America got to the point where at one point in time, the majority of people here agreed that constitutional rights were like the foundation of this nation in terms of unity? How did we get from that to where we are today? I mean, was
I'll
it
offer
just
my 2 cents worth.
Was it just?
I'm still not entirely positive that when the Constitution was adopted, a majority of people supported it, because there were still a large segment of the population that were anti-Federalist.
Yes.
Meaning that they preferred having the Articles of Confederation. But because ratification of the U.S. Constitution was not up for a popular vote, it was up to legislative bodies. And, well, we know how legislative bodies are comprised, where legislators largely choose their constituents instead of the other way around.
So it really is, in essence, like even the people that support the Constitution are just one side to a war.
Well, yeah, but this one happens to have gone on for a couple hundred years. What Darryl talks about, the Articles of Confederation, which was sort of our first constitution, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
Made the federal government very, very weak, to the point where they really couldn't even raise money to do all the crazy things that the federal government at that point wanted to do.
Correct.
So a bunch of people got together and said, well, maybe we need to take another look at this. We'll come up with something more powerful. We'll centralize power a little bit more.
The Hamiltonians won.
Right. So in response to the Hamiltonians, then a number of states and a lot of the Anti-Federalists, the ones that were sort of against this big centralized government that could certainly occur without some checks on the original Constitution, said, Now, if we're going to sign this, we demand that there be a Bill of Rights in this, too, that protects the people in some way.
Right.
And that's how we got those first 10 amendments to the Constitution.
And then a lot of the Anti-Federalists also just wound up boycotting the Constitutional Convention.
Yeah.
Patrick Henry famously said, "I smell a rat."
Right.
Why did they not like the Constitution? Like, I want to hear the argument against it.
It gave too much power to a central government.
That's what the critics of the Constitution said?
Yes, and
that's what the Anti-Federalists said. And you can go get a copy of the Anti-Federalist Papers. You've probably heard of the Federalist Papers that were the things written by supporters of the Constitution.
Like Hamilton and
here's the
others.
wonderful things of why this should wind up being adopted. And then there were the Anti-Federalists who wrote things saying, here's reasons why this should not be adopted.
Right.
But because they were on the losing side, their papers aren't widely circulated. And even James Madison, the guy that is largely credited with having written the Constitution, many years later actually wound up becoming an Anti-Federalist of sorts.
Yeah.
I mean,
wait a second. This isn't what I meant when I wrote this.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that. And another thing, Heather, to answer your question, how it sort of evolved is courts started supporting uses of what we call the general clauses. So, shall support the general welfare. They said, courts were agreeing with states that said, well, yeah, my program to, allow sugar beet production and tax everybody else who does it, that sort of promotes general welfare and interstate commerce. So once the court started taking a real loose view of these general clauses that were pretty straightforward when they were passed.
Eisenhower's interstate highway system would have been deemed unconstitutional in 1830.
Right.
Because who was it? Oh, yeah, Madison that wound up vetoing a bill to wind up, paving some roads. Well, because the post office is going to drive on it. He was like, no. Just because the post office uses the road does not mean it's a post road in accordance with the document that says that we can make post roads.
Yeah, I got to say, there's so much good writing out there. And if you go to 10thamendmentcenter.com, that's spelled out TENTH, amendmentcenter.com, look in their store. There's a great book, and I should have pulled this up before I actually did this, but
just say there's a great book.
There's a great book.
You don't need to give the name of it. You'll find it. But yeah, they are a good organization.
Yeah, and it really breaks down really what they kind of meant. And a lot of the way those of us who believe that this is still a valid, it's called the original Constitution, what it really said and meant, is a lot of discussion about what words actually meant and how phrases were used at that period in time.
Well,
so they look back to the
largely depends on what the definition of is.
I guess
thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Clinton.
Right?
Yeah. But the book's written by Robert G. Nadelson. It's an easy read. But if you really want to understand some of the background to what's in the Constitution, it's unparalleled. And I don't know if they still do it, but when I originally started sending the 10th Amendment Center
and I think they
money,
have a podcast as well.
They very well might. I got one of these books in the mail for free. I don't know if they still do that, but hey, it's still not it's still a great organization to support.
And we'll get back into the article about the FOIA request and the people filing them getting sued for doing so, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What do you think? Should local governments sue people that ask for information?
Earlier this year, after many years of conflict over the direction of Bitcoin, the creators of Bitcoin Cash did just what they were told to do. They forked off. Now there are two Bitcoins, the one that is run by the big bank patsies, and Bitcoin Cash, the one that stays true to the creator's vision. Bitcoin Cash has surprised many with its relevancy and staying power, and the price reflects it. If you believe that Bitcoin was meant to be a low-cost, easy-to-use, peer-to-peer currency that could bring economic freedom to the world, you need Bitcoin Cash. Get your Bitcoin Cash wallet right now at bitcoin.com.
When I get to about 3/4,
when I get down to the bottom, a couple more scoops, it's time to place my order. Dinovite.com.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of Super Mega Fish Oil free.
Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Free this week at Dinovite.com.
If it's working, don't quit. DINOVITE.com.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply, or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now, earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
on the calendar. Now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What
am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And did you know that you can mine Bitcoin from the safety of your home without worrying about the cost of constant equipment upgrades, without the worry of buying expensive equipment and maintaining that equipment? You can do that at pool.bitcoin.com. You can make Bitcoin every day, like some of the hosts on this show do. Pool.bitcoin.com. There's a 100% uptime guarantee. The website is easy to use, and you can even calculate on the website what you might expect to make as a return on investment. Pool.bitcoin.com. Plus, you can help steer Bitcoin towards the liberating currency that Satoshi Nakamoto meant it to be. You're not just making money at pool.bitcoin.com. You're doing activism while you sleep. Plus, while you're awake, while you're doing all of the other things that you do while you're awake. And it's very easy. Pool.bitcoin.com. Let's jump back into the article that we started the show off with from the Associated Press, where there's a growing movement to find out what governments across the country are doing. And this seems to be something that, about 10, 15 years, maybe a little bit longer, where the whole FOIA laws started being passed, to where, various governments at different levels say, yes, Chris, you as a taxpayer, you as a journalist, you as, a student, whatever, you have the right to know what your local government is doing. And here's the process where you can, get documents of what your local government or your state government or your federal government is doing. And people have been, quote unquote, taking advantage of. And, well, some governments aren't happy about that. We heard from a caller out of Kentucky who actually wound up getting sued for asking for information about the police surveillance cameras.
Wait, I have a question for you guys.
Shoot.
All right. So, in the case of, government surveillance and stuff like that, a lot of the times when it's presented on this show, I notice it's always presented in terms of, the government spying on its own citizens and,
that's generally what they do.
No, I know, but I'm saying that in general, do you believe, though, that there are terrorists, for example, that exist, right? Yes, the government can sometimes be
a
terrorist form, but do you also think that there are,
that's like asking me, Darryl, do you think that there are chairs with only 3 legs?
Yes, such
a thing. No. You asked, do terrorists exist? That's not something that's a philosophical thing yes, terrorists do exist. Somebody has made a chair with only 3 legs. That's not up for debate.
So my question is, where, if anything, should a line ever get drawn as far as, what is our civic duty as people?
If you have probable cause, here's where the line gets drawn. If the police have probable cause that someone has done something illegal, then they can get a warrant and, do whatever investigation they want to do. But you can't just say, well, because bad people exist, we're going to rummage through your laundry basket because you might be hiding something under your dirty underwear.
And here's what the federal government does, or a lot of governments do.
Okay.
Because we know terrorists exist, and we also know that terrorists use Facebook, we are going to go to a secret court and we're going to get permission to have the federal government have direct access to Facebook, to everybody's posts, and we're going to comb through every one of them. We're going to analyze them for keywords, and that's how we're going to do our investigations. Not only that, we're going to collect everybody's telephone records, their metadata, to see who they're calling.
We have a document here that was written by a terrorist that uses the word "the," so we're going to scan everything for the word "the," and if you use the word "the," you might be a terrorist.
But the point being, the federal government is allowed to pursue terrorists until it infringes upon either the rights of the terrorist or the rights of other people, and as long as they're following what their powers are as laid out in the Constitution, which means if they have probable cause, they can go before a judge and they can request a warrant. So all I'm saying, and it comes across often as, just anti-government. Well, no, I'm against very specific acts that our government does, and one of them are these fishing expeditions where they're gathering up, if you think of let's call the terrorists the tuna, and all the rest of the people are the dolphins. They're gill netting all the people in with all the terrorists when they go on these fishing hunts.
Right, and
fishing
this
expeditions.
is getting
it's ridiculous.
Far stride from the FOIA request. Thing here.
But the FOIA requests are often a response to the government attempting to do things that may be unconstitutional or illegal. And I think everybody has a right and a duty to challenge them when it's suspected that they might not be playing by the same rules that we all have to follow. One thing I'd like to bring up is, if you print out the Constitution, it's about 5 pages long. That's our protections from the federal government. We have about 5 pages.
That's if you
I do think
double space.
Let me finish.
And use a large font.
Let me finish. We've got about 5 pages that protect us from overreaches of the federal government. They've got 88,000 pages of code just in the IRS to attack us. If anybody thinks this is a fair fight, you're so far, your head is so deep in the sand, it's ridiculous. And we talk about U.S. code. There's hundreds and hundreds of chapters. Each one's thousands of pages long. Those are all directed at us. We have those 5 pages, and that's it.
Do you think there's like a way to shrink government, like diplomatically?
I don't care about diplomacy. You don't even have to shrink government. You just have to get government to actually follow the Constitution. Which is the question is has it done that since the ink was dry?
Lysander Spooner said the Constitution's either authorized such tyranny as we have or been powerless to prevent it. As Butler Schaefer says, the Constitution is that document that prevents the government from doing all the horrible things that the government does.
Whenever people give quotes, though, they're like, as this person said, like, I really don't care who said what. Like, I care about what makes sense in my own mind.
Right.
Like, so I don't care who you quote from what book or whatever. Like, I take it like a grain of salt. You know, people always do that. But anyway.
Let's go to the phones since we've already sort of strayed afar from the topic. Where we've got Anonymous calling in. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free call-in line. Anonymous, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Heather, and Chris. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I just want to express gratitude. You folks are doing a great job, especially the thing that you have an advantage over a lot of other people with me is I'm part of a minority that doesn't do direct internet. Now, that's really a small minority, but we just like telephone, voice conversations, and we can sometimes do an email, but we don't really follow links. And so I've appreciated some of your talks, and I just wanted to say thank you for what you are doing and appreciate your podcast. I'm a little bit limited. I can't go back and find your other podcasts very easily, but your phone system is a nice addition to your tools.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, glad to hear that.
Hearing positive feedback.
Thanks for the call. Do you have any further thoughts, Anonymous?
Maybe another time. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank
calling.
you very much.
That was so nice.
Yeah, so now let's delve back into this article again, brought up early in the show from the Associated Press about various governments across the country filing lawsuits against people that file Freedom of Information Act requests.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll continue right where we left off. Government officials who have employed the tactic, and the tactic being when somebody makes a FOIA request that they don't like, they take them to court. They do not ask for damages, but still it's basically summoning a person into a court with all the fees associated with it in an effort, it seems to me, to just shut them up.
Right.
Government officials who have employed the tactic insist that they are acting in good faith. They say it's best to have the courts determine whether records should be released when legal obligations are unclear. For instance, when the documents may be shielded by an exemption or privacy laws.
So who was making the claim that it's best for the courts to decide?
Quote, government officials. They're not specific in that, but that just seems to be the general thought. You know, we don't want to deal with this, and so just let the courts do it.
Here's the reason they want the courts to decide, because that sets precedent.
Sure.
To where then if somebody else winds up filing a similar request,
just take us to court.
Local government can say, no. It's called
stare decisis or something.
Precedent.
Right.
So then they can say, a court already ruled that we don't have to give this information out.
Right.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years from My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. preparewithgcn.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 12th, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.21 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,295 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 5.6 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $5,220. Antiwar.com reports that Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy was seeking clarification Wednesday on whether or not Catalonia had declared independence. He has also placed an ultimatum on an independence bid, giving Catalan leaders 8 days to drop the matter entirely. Rajoy says that if Catalonia does not abandon its independence by then, he will apply Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution, allowing him to seize Catalonia, oust its regional government, and take away its autonomous status to make it directly ruled. Catalonia did declare independence on Tuesday, but Catalan President Carlos Puigdemont suspended implementing the declaration at the time, anticipating talks with Spain. Rajoy has ruled out talks, however, and has focused on threatening the Catalan leadership. Catalonians voted overwhelmingly to secede on October 1st, despite violent crackdowns by Spanish police that injured over 800 voters. Spain has threatened to charge Catalan leaders with sedition against the crown for supporting independence and allowing a vote to take place at all. Analysts familiar with the political situation in Catalonia say the regional government is likely to fall either way. If Puigdemont affirms independence, Spain will invade, and if he does not, the pro-secession parties will withdraw from the government and cost it a majority. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports California Governor Jerry Brown on Wednesday said nearly 24 wildfires throughout the state could cost tens of billions of dollars as officials increased the death toll to 21. Brown and other state and federal emergency officials offered an update on the fires, primarily in the northern part of the state, in a midday news conference. Sheriff Rob Giordino said in Sonoma County, 670 people were reported missing and 110 people have been found safe. CAL FIRE Chief Ken Pimlott said that despite a brief respite from high winds on Tuesday, poor weather continued to plague the state. On Wednesday, the state was under a red flag warning due to high winds. Pimlott said that despite rainfall last year, California was still impacted by 5 years of drought. Brown added, "It's going to cost a lot of money. This will be tens of billions of dollars." Pimlott said about 8,000 firefighters are battling the blazes, along with a variety of helicopters, air tankers, drones, and other aircraft used to fight fires. He said fire departments from the states of Washington, Oregon, and Nevada were sending fire engines and other assistance. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports President Donald Trump suggested challenging licenses for NBC and other broadcast news networks on Wednesday, a salvo that followed reports of his own Secretary of State had called him a moron after a discussion of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Trump posted on Twitter, "With all the fake news coming out of NBC and the networks, at what point is it appropriate to challenge your licenses? Bad for country." Trump and his supporters have repeatedly used the term fake news to cast doubt on critical media reports about his administration, often without providing any evidence to support their case that the reports were untrue. Trump kept up his criticism of the media in an appearance with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday, saying, "It is frankly disgusting the press is able to write whatever it wants to write." Any move to challenge media companies' licenses, however, would likely face significant hurdles. The FCC does not license broadcast networks, but does issue licenses to individual stations that are renewed on a staggered basis for 8-year periods. Gordon Smith, the chief executive of the National Association of Broadcasters, defended the media's free speech rights, saying it is contrary to the fundamental right for any government official to threaten the revocation of an FCC license simply because of a disagreement with the reporting of a journalist. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Congressman Hanford, you're married, 2 beautiful children, and yet you texted nude photographs to a 23-year-old staffer. Why did you do it?
I wanted her to see my penis. I was hoping the penis photo would arouse her sexually, that she might think, that's a nice penis. I will respond with an offer to have sex with the penis, or maybe send a photo of my breasts. I would like that. And that's what I was hoping would happen.
Here's what intrigues so many people. Why would a promising, successful politician take such a big risk?
I knew I could let down my family, destroy my marriage, and damage the country that I love, but on the other hand, if there's even the small chance of getting off at any time, you gotta take it.
The big question, do you plan to resign?
No, I'm very good at my job. Plus, it's a lot harder to get women to have sex with you when you're not a congressman.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2. You can join us at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll get back into the FOIA story here in just a moment, where, again, we started off the show talking about this story from the Associated Press about the growing trend of not people filing FOIA requests. No. The growing trend is people that have filed FOIA requests, FOIA being Freedom of Information Act request, people that have filed these being sued by the government agency that they have filed the FOIA request with, because the agency, not only do they not want to give up the information, they want the court precedent, the stare decisis, that says you are not required to give this information.
Starry? I thought it was stare. No.
Starry.
Okay.
Well, there's another precedent there, and that's what this article, I think, really addresses, and that is to intimidate anyone who even dreams of filing a FOIA request or whatever your state equivalent is.
That's certainly part of it.
It certainly is, and it's saying, like the gentleman said, the law professor, it basically says file a request at your own peril. Well, who's going to file a request if they know that there's a good chance that they are going to be on the hook for thousands of dollars, because you can't just ignore a lawsuit?
Right. Well, you can. But then you wind up with a bench warrant for failure to appear.
Right.
You lose because you didn't show up, and then you've got to pay the thousands of dollars for their attorneys anyway.
Yeah. So it's a very, very slippery slope. This really needs to be shut down. But we can continue with the article if you like.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the phones first.
Oh, good.
Where we've got David calling in from San Francisco. David, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Heather, and Chris. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, how are you? You know, this all reminds me of the what they used to call SLAPP suits. I'm old enough to remember early environmental lawsuits, and this would have been sometime in between Nixon and Carter, if I remember right. The big polluters and the government, for that matter.
SLAPP being, hold on, David, real quick. SLAPP being an acronym for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation.
Right. Yeah, in other words, we the people own the government. And any job that the government's working on, we get to see the results. So if the sewer department knows that the creek is being poisoned by some polluter,
right,
there were a lot of environmental groups that were trying to get that data. And the local water board or the fishing district or the federal waterways agencies would have people doing monitoring of it,
right,
but they would deny the data to the people. And it got into this issue of whether the government is working for us or whether it's working for the polluters. So the idea of the government started trying to charge you, at the time, copy paper was like 2 cents a copy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they were trying to charge me a dime a copy, and then it was a quarter a copy, and then, if you're asking for 500 pages and they want to charge you 25 cents a copy, that was pretty profound. So there were all of these back and forths, and then finally they came up with these SLAPP lawsuits to say that, you didn't deserve to see this data to begin with. And so it was, out here in California, we've now got what's called the Brown Act, which guarantees that every agency of government, whether it's the local town council and the library board, or whether it's all the way up to the State Department of Investigation, if they're working on a project and it's not an ongoing criminal case, we the people get the right to see that data, and we get to see it for free, ideally. If it's on electronically, it's available for free. But Trump is trying to claim at this point that even federal data doesn't count for free.
Right.
And so these lawsuits or this inference of criminality, that's bogus. It can always be basically taken all the way back to taxation with representation. And especially if somebody living downstream is getting poisoned by some factory upstream, and the health department knows it, and the health department is not protecting the people downstream, that's a major issue.
It's complicity.
I was actually, I was interested, though, in it sounded like they're doing this on a security basis, too.
They're doing it on all kinds of things. Whatever they can come up with, if they feel... and one of the examples given in this AP story was somebody who wanted information in Oregon about school employees getting paid to stay home, or a retired educator seeking data about student performance in Louisiana.
There was the caller from Kentucky that wanted information about the make and model of surveillance cameras, and
in his town.
Town came back and said security.
Right.
We can't give this information because security reasons and police safety.
Right. Instead of them just saying, we don't feel we have to do that, and running the risk that a citizen actually goes to court and sues them, they've flipped the tables here, and they've said, you know what? We're just going to sue them for daring to ask for this, and let the courts decide which way it is. But then it's putting all the burden on the defendant, the guy who just wants the information. And we're talking financial burden.
Right. And this definitely does sound like a SLAPP sort of thing, where, let me read the definition of that. Again, strategic lawsuit against public participation. The definition from the Wikipedia is it's a lawsuit intended to censor, intimidate, and silence critics by burdening them with the legal defense until they abandon their criticism or opposition.
Right. Well, now, I could give you an example about those cameras where I climbed on a city bus here in San Francisco not too long ago, and I counted all those little cameras throughout the bus.
I don't know how you did.
They're everywhere. You'd be surprised. You usually see them as the little black bump, the 360 dome.
Oh, fisheye lens.
There were 16 cameras on a single bus. Now imagine the service contract on a thing like that.
Right.
Yeah. And the idea that they wouldn't just have 4, or something like that. They have to have 16 on there. They're not only piling it on, but then it gets into the reliability of them. So if the taxpayer is paying for 16 per bus, and there's I'm going to guess 1,000 buses in the city.
in one city.
Right. We had a study here. We were trying to deal with air pollution in San Francisco a bunch of years ago. And one of the sons of the mayors, his name was Shelley. I think it's Tom Shelley. He had been a board of supervisors, and he came up with an idea. He backed it up with studies that if they turned the bus system entirely free, that it would not only speed up the buses, it would get people to work on time, but it would actually make the city money because they wouldn't have to pay for gasoline, they wouldn't have to pay for insurance on their cars, they wouldn't have to pay for this and that and the other, and the asthma rate in the whole city would go down. And so it was a win-win in 100 different ways. And so it seemed like they were coming up with these security cameras and all of these gimracks on the bus systems to actually force them to charge more money to get on the bus than to turn it into free.
Well,
if you load a bus with 16 cameras, then all of a sudden you got to have a fare box again in order to pay for it.
Well, and a lot of that, and before somebody who's listening in South Dakota says, well, that's California, thank God for that. No, listeners in South Dakota, North Dakota, and every other state, you're probably paying for that. So when the city, whenever
making it. We would actually make money by sales tax. In other words, if you weren't spending a few $100 a month on insurance and a few $100 a month on gasoline, then you would have that back as discretionary income, and you're more likely to spend it in local restaurants and buying stuff for your house and whatnot, and it would come back to the city. At the time, they figured the city would make $2 billion a year plus reduce asthma.
David, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Book Club Radio.
Today we're chatting with Mike Papantonio, leading trial lawyer and prolific author. His latest novel, Law and Vengeance, is a non-stop, action-packed legal thriller. We spoke with him about the book and the real-life issues that inform and inspire his writing.
When you read these books, you're going to hear me talk about what I call biostitutes. A biostitute may be a scientist. They will say anything that needs to be said for the right number of millions of dollars. And right now, that industry is just expanding, bigger than I've ever seen. I've been doing this for 35 years. So when you see my books, whether it's Law and Disorder, whether it's Law and Vengeance, the next one coming out is Law and Addiction. When you read those books, you'll really see me beating on these biostitutes because it is an industry that runs the risk of destroying everything we believe, and that is we believe that capitalism works fairly. When you put a biostitute in the process, it doesn't.
On the heels of the critically acclaimed legal thriller, Law and Disorder, comes Law and Vengeance, the latest novel from famed trial attorney Mike Papantonio. Law and Vengeance follows the law firm of Bergman Dichotomus, who is now in the crosshairs of a weapons manufacturer. But this is not a law firm that plays by all the rules. Based on a real case, Law and Vengeance, the riveting new legal thriller by Mike Papantonio, is available wherever books are sold.
Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. Just visit pool.bitcoin.com and use their calculator to estimate what you could end up making. You get to decide which Bitcoin you want to mine. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. Get all the details and get started mining Bitcoin at pool.bitcoin.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Then consider joining Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, it's easy, it can be private, the fees are low, and transactions are fast and can even be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions, and anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the network. Join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. Take back control over your financial future today. Find out more at dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash, so go right now to dash.org and find out why. We've been talking about FOIA request. That's Freedom of Information Act request. And, well, there's been a bit of a pushback by some governments across the country. Had a caller call in from San Francisco to mention some of the SLAPP lawsuits that happened back in the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
SLAPP being an acronym for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. And that may sound familiar to some listeners of Free Talk Live because at least one current host of the show and a couple former hosts of this show were actually the subject of a SLAPP lawsuit here in Keene, New Hampshire, where they had gone out putting money in parking meters. And the city wound up suing them to say, you can't do that near the parking enforcer because intimidation and something And, well, if you actually read the employee handbook for the parking enforcers, the very first thing is must endure verbal and mental abuse and harassment.
Whoops.
But yet, the city claimed that by putting money in meters near the parking enforcer, which is, really the best way to do it if you're trying to prevent people from getting tickets.
Just stay one car ahead of them.
Well,
yeah.
The city attorney at one point was requesting a 50-foot buffer, a roaming buffer of the 6 named defendants cannot be within 50 feet of a parking enforcer at any time.
Right.
And they were citing some court ruling on 8-foot buffers near abortion clinics as the precedent for why a roving 50-foot buffer throughout the city was legal and constitutional. They then reduced that down to like 10 feet, but every step of the way, the city of Keene wound up losing.
Wow, I'm surprised. It sounded like with all that precedent that they would have actually won. But yeah, that's the idea, and government will frequently employ this method. If you're stirring up trouble or you're doing something they don't like, they can take you to court. I'm going to continue with this article a little bit. And again, This is when people file a FOIA request, and the government is this new tactic is basically saying, well, we don't know if that should be released or not, so we're going to sue you. You can go argue your case before a court. And if they say we have to turn it over, we'll turn it over. The problem is that puts all of the financial burden on the person requesting the government information.
Right.
And that's the antithesis of open government.
Right. So put yourself momentarily in the shoes of the person filing that FOIA request. I want to know information about what this local government is doing. They have a process where I can file this form and say, give me information regarding this. And then they turn around and say, oh, you want it? All right, well, let's go to court. And if you lose, you have to pay our legal bills, and we're not telling you how much we're charging our attorney.
Right.
Do you want to know the information bad enough to where you're gambling $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000?
And this article goes into that, too, where it talked about government officials have employed this tactic. They're saying they're acting on good faith and the court should decide who this is. At least 2 recent cases have succeeded in blocking information, while many others have only delayed the release. State freedom of information laws generally allow requesters who believe they are being wrongfully denied records to file lawsuits seeking to force their release, like we do here in New Hampshire.
Yes.
If they succeed, government agencies can be forced to pay their legal fees and court costs. Now, with this suing the requester, when the state just sues, it flips the script. Even if agencies are ultimately required to make the records public, they typically will not have to pay the other side's legal bills. So again, this completely puts all the onus on the citizen. Quote, you can lose even when you win, unquote, said Mike DeShottles, an education watchdog who was sued by the Louisiana Department of Education after filing requests for school district enrollment data last year. Quote, I'm stuck with my legal fees just for defending my right to try to get those records, unquote. The lawsuit argued that the data could not be released under state and federal privacy laws and initially asked the court to order DeShottles and another citizen requester to pay the department's legal fees and court costs. The department released the data months later after a judge ruled it should be made public. DeShottles, a 72-year-old retired teachers union official who authors the Louisiana Educator blog, has spent $3,000 fighting the lawsuit by then. He said the data ultimately helped show a widening achievement gap among the state's poorest students, undercutting claims of progress by education reformers. The lawsuit has been denounced by some courts and policymakers. A New York judge in 2015 said they were the antithesis of open records policies and dismissed a case filed by a township against a person who requested police department surveillance video footage. There we go, if Michael Maharry is still listening to us. In Michigan, the State House voted 108-0 earlier this year in favor of a bill that would make it illegal for agencies to sue public records requesters.
Good. That needs to be the law everywhere.
Yep. The proposal came in response to a county's lawsuit against a local newspaper that had sought the personnel files of 2 employees running for sheriff. A judge dismissed the lawsuit, saying the county had to approve or deny the request. The documents, ultimately released days before the election, showed that one of the candidates had been disciplined for carrying on an affair while on duty in 2011. No. That candidate lost.
If you think about government's not really supposed to sue because it's supposed to kind of like just, handle issues against the people.
Follow the law.
So
right.
If the people are applying for information, you can't then sue them. That's like...
I agree.
How is the government allowed to sue anybody?
Because they've written themselves the authority to do so.
Right. And if it doesn't exist, then they'll pass a law that gives them the authority to do so.
Or they'll just file the lawsuit and hope that the court winds up making a ruling that says, yeah, you've got the authority to do this because we decided you do.
Right.
It's so different, though, just applying for a FOIA request and getting either denied or accepted versus suing. That's like a whole other ballgame of like...
It's a completely different level. It's ridiculous.
Again, it's a tactic to where the local government agencies, they want that court precedent saying that they don't have to give stuff so that then other agencies can use that against people asking similar stuff.
Or
Your
anybody.
Calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Advertising your business with GCN is simple, effective,
and more affordable than you might think.
Visit advertise.gcnlive.com for more info. Take your business to the next level. That's advertise.gcnlive.com.
ProPure water filters. Most trusted, most tested. Right now, you can save 25% on the ProPure Nomad gravity system. Visit an authorized ProPure dealer for details. That's PROPUR.
You've heard the phrase, you are what you eat? Not true. Actually, you are what you can absorb. So if the vitamins and supplements you now take are not being absorbed, what good are they? Introducing Protovite, proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com. Then call 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And how would you like to save 5, 10, 15, 20% or more on things that you were going to buy online anyway? Well, you can do that when you go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. Now, what you have to do once you create the account there at saveatpurse.com, you also need an Amazon account to get the bigger savings. You put things into an Amazon wish list. You then import the wish list to saveatpurse.com and then select the discount that you want. And then you fund the account with Bitcoin. And I've actually got a couple of orders in right now. I should be receiving fairly soon where I'm saving between 25 to 33% on some health food supplements, getting a new scale, and a couple other things. And I did that again. Saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. Let's go to the phones, actually to the Skype, where we've got Dave Ridley from New Hampshire from RidleyReport.com calling in on Skype. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Heather, and Chris. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I had been calling in a few days back regarding, the growth of the secession movements and whether or not we New Hampshireites should take advantage of that by focusing some on other, independence movements that happen to be getting more press. And obviously Catalonia seems to be at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy that I did get a little bit involved in that because maybe as a result of it, or maybe he was going to do it independently, but the president or the former, I should say the founder of the Free State Project got involved a little bit, Jason Sorens.
Dr. Jason Sorens.
Yes, Dr. Sorens. We have Dr. Paul. We should say Dr. Sorens too, I guess.
Yes. So what were his thoughts on this Catalonia thing? Because I've not, as far as I know, I don't think I've read what his position was on Catalonia.
Well, I think he's basically pro-independence across the board, just like most of us. Most of the people in the liberty movement, I think, in New Hampshire probably feel that way from what I've gathered. There's this philosophy that any region deserves independence, even if it's wildly imperfect. I support, Croatian independence, despite the cruel methods they use to achieve it. They still deserve the independence. Does that make sense?
Right. I would say they deserve the right to self-determination, and then, if they don't want to be independent of some other entity, then, don't force independence upon them just because independent. Let them have the say.
Right, and arguably the Krajina Serbs inside Croatia deserved the same thing. Instead, they got ethnically cleansed.
Right.
But anyway, that wasn't really what I called to talk about. What Jason said was what I had been doing maybe starting about 5 days ago was calling all of the Spanish government officials that I could get on the, well, not officials, but just workers, government workers who work for government of Spain, getting them on the phone, any of them in the United States, and asking them when they're going to quit their jobs and so forth. Over the treatment of Catalans. But what Jason said was that he had a different idea. He says, quote, not to take away from this project, but it would likely be effective to call your federal legislators tomorrow, Tuesday, to urge them to make a statement opposing the Spanish use of force in Catalonia. They're likely not getting many calls on this issue, and so even a smattering of calls could be quite effective. I plan to do this myself, unquote.
Right, and just to sort of give an update, because I know that we have talked about Catalonia, I'm not sure how much it's been covered earlier this week, but on Tuesday, and this is sort of a very interesting runaround that Carles Puigdemont did, to where Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy said, you're not allowed to have a meeting of the Catalan parliament on Monday, and he said, okay, that's fine. Meeting is Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, they signed a Declaration of Independence, but then he immediately asked Parliament to delay implementation of the declaration because he wants to have talks with Spain. Spanish Prime Minister Rajoy says, there's no talking that's going to happen. The talking isn't going to be a thing that we do. And Rajoy is now threatening to invoke Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution.
I read that.
That allows the Spanish government to actually seize control of Catalonia itself and revoke the autonomy of Catalonia. And basically, no matter what happens in Catalonia now, there are going to be Catalan officials that wind up being arrested, either because they've declared independence, which the Spanish government says you're not allowed to do, or the Spanish government invokes Article 155 that says we take over your autonomy and all of your officials get arrested because we said so.
You know, there's this the theory that, like, in 1990, it may have been, or 91, there was this one last chance to sort of stop Slobodan Milosevic before he started taking over all these parts of Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, and they were insufficiently robust. You know, the protesters, a lot of Serbians, a lot of people in Belgrade trying to take him out, take him down. They were insufficiently robust in their response. But there's also a time for, falling back and reinforcing. And it really seems like that's what the Catalans are doing. They're not overplaying their hand. And I'm not sure it is a good time to overplay their hand. It seems like they're being really cagey.
Right. I don't know. I think secession is one of those subjects that scares a lot of people. It scares a lot of Americans.
The S word specifically.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about independence, I think that's different.
Yeah. We tend to focus on our experience with secession as being our Civil War, which was arguably the greatest disaster for the American people. The deadliest war in the United States history was our Civil War, where we had Americans fighting Americans. So we think about that when we think about secession. Nobody thinks about 1776.
Right,
Nobody
and that's
thinks
because they don't use the S word.
Right. We didn't refer to our fight for independence as secession, but that's absolutely what it was. When you're under an oppressive government regime and you don't like it, what we believed then and what a lot of us still believe is that you have a right and a duty to strike back against that government and declare your own independence.
There are only three synonyms really for the word secession. There's independence, there's separatism. Really, you can't just use the word independence all the time because sometimes it's confused with other things, and because also you can't use the same word. There's nothing like it's just you need synonyms. You got to use them, and if you have them, you got to use them. But one thing I wanted to mention was that we should take all the disadvantages we've got and turn them into advantages. The fact that our idea is a little bit of a fringe idea still in the United States, we'll turn that into an advantage because it gets people to attack it. If it's associated with Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, and that gets people all riled up, well, then the riling up process gets them to advertise our idea for us.
Sure.
The way I see it is I think New Hampshire is a great state to be like a guinea pig, Like, let New Hampshire secede, see if it works. If it doesn't, hop, skip it away and join the 49 United States left.
Right. And one thing that's very interesting is a lot of legislators in New Hampshire love to mention first in the nation, but yet whenever anything sort of outside the box winds up getting proposed in Concord, the first question out of almost everybody's mouth is, well, has anybody ever tried this before? Well, wait a second. I thought we were supposed to be the first in the nation, not let's wait until everybody else does this.
First in the nation for something that's really easy to do.
Dave, not sure if you have more thoughts. I'll put you on hold. If you do, your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. What are your thoughts on secession? What are your thoughts on independence? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Dr. Carolyn Dean wants you to have a free chapter of her new book, The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition, and it's available at magmiracle.com. In your free chapter, Dr. Carolyn Dean explains how magnesium is essential to support the structure and function and overall health of your body. Your free chapter is your guide to learn how to support your heart, bone, metabolic, lung, and mental health with this powerful mineral. The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition is available on Amazon, but right now get a free chapter at magmiracle.com, spelled M-A-G, miracle.com.
In an emergency, you need a fire now. But what if the wood is wet? No problem for InstaFire. Our non-toxic fire starter packs lights wet wood, floats, and can even burn on water or in any weather. Sustains winds up to 30 miles per hour, and each pouch weighs only 1.75 ounces. Need an emergency or camp stove? Get the InstaFire Inferno stove that boils 20 ounces of water in under 3 minutes with controllable heat and temps from 425 to 1500 degrees. Free shipping. Go to instafire.com and use discount code RADIO30 up to 3 times for 30% off your order. InstaFire. Fire in an instant.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we are a live radio show, but we also have a podcast. And a lot of people do listen to the podcast version of the show. And if you're one of them, we want to ask you, ever so kindly, leave us a review. Make it an honest review. Don't just give 5 stars and say, love it. Unless, that's all you really have to say about the show and you actually do love it. But, give us honest reviews, because iTunes and Stitcher and the other, podcast aggregator things, they wind up using those reviews to suggest the show to other people based on, things that might wind up fitting a category that they're listening to already. Also helps us show up higher in search results. So, again, leave us a rating, leave us a review. We greatly appreciate it. Let's go back to Skype, where we've got Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com calling in, and we're talking about secession and independence and the different reactions that you get from people depending on which word you use. And, a lot of this is being talked about now because of what happened recently in Catalonia, what happened in Kurdistan to a lesser extent, what might happen in Veneto, what we Americans call Venice, where they actually have a independence referendum coming up in, I believe, just a couple of weeks. And then, of course, there's also the California CalExit thing, where there's a couple of different groups collecting signatures to get independence referendums on the ballot out there. So, again, back to Skype. Dave, you're back on Free Talk Live. Continue with your thoughts.
Yeah, and each of these developments takes us one step further away from the Civil War and puts that further and further into the memory of Americans, or takes it further and further away from their memory because they're so headline focused. It's constructive, but it's still useful to look at history in the sense that you want to look at the long-term trends and what has worked and what hasn't worked, and what worked. In Italy when it was divided, as it hopefully will be again. When Italy was in pieces, it led the world out of the Middle Ages. That was where the Renaissance was born, in a divided, shattered Italy. And it was good for Italy to be divided. Italy didn't become a backwater until it became united. Right. And the other trend is that over the last 100 years at least, the number of countries has been going down. Has been going radically up. So, it's just at some point the American exceptionalism will stop functioning and America will start to, have this independence thing going on inside it the same way that the rest of the world does.
One can hope.
I do. I always think about that phrase, divide and conquer. And it's when I think of secession, I'm like, man, it sounds like such a good idea. But is there also that little contrarian that's oh, well, what if it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to do? Or then it causes more chaos or more problems than you originally thought it was going to solve. And it's
well, we have some precedents of that. The South deciding to leave the Union did not end well for the South. And people do think about that. Like I said, they focus on risk. What they were taught in school. And it certainly is... it's a risk that we would take.
But certainly, that's not the only attempt at independence throughout history that ended poorly for people.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
United we stand, divided we rise.
Yeah.
Well, I admire you for keep plugging away at it, David.
Rise? Wait.
By the way, with regard to the Civil War, there was a great success story that came out of the Civil War in Texas, and that was Van Zandt County, which is technically still independent. They fought the United States and the Confederacy.
Yeah, and there were actually a fair number of counties throughout the southern states that wound up seceding from the state that had seceded. A large chunk of Tennessee did so, parts of northern Alabama, the most famous in Alabama being Winston County, the Free State of Winston. Then there was Jones County, Mississippi, the Free State of Jones. And, of course, Van Zandt County, although nobody recognizes any of those as actually being legitimate secessions, which I think is really sad because I would love to see, there's about 300 million people that live in the United States. So instead of, let's divide it into 50 countries. No, how about let's try 300 million countries? Every man a country. What do you think,
That's a little
Dave?
bit of a leap for me. 300 million countries.
You are the sovereign.
You are your own country. The Free
so
State
then
of Heather.
why does government come to exist in the first place then? Is government almost like the free market solution to chaos? I mean, why do people collectivize? Why do people do this stuff, right?
Because
if everybody,
people want
if it was
power.
so great to be autonomous all the time,
You keep
why
using
do
that
people
word
keep
solution.
collectivizing?
I'm not sure
Why do
it
people
means what you think it
collectivize?
means.
Why do people collectivize and form governments?
I think there's a tendency in people to want to come together as a community. Then that I think is a natural thing. And I think in absent of a federal government, well, even a state government, you would still have towns that would organize, and they would come up with ways, probably based on things that have been done historically or they're familiar with. And you probably end up to some degree back to where you started, but maybe we would learn that, okay, remember back in the 2000s when we had that huge, immense federal government? Maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe we could just sort of do things at the county level, and maybe that's enough.
Right, and if
There's
the question
advantages.
is how do people wind up accumulating power, well, a really, really long time ago, somebody decided God said that I am better than you, so therefore give me some of your money and I'll protect you from the people that invade here. And then at some point it became, all right, you know what? Maybe we should elect the person that's in charge. We still have somebody that's in charge. We just don't call him a king anymore. But we get a say in who's in charge. And the people that wind up getting in those positions, they just keep accumulating more power and more power and more power.
Don't you think it's a lot like in terms of government though, right? Like you have multiple people in quote unquote power, but they're forced to work with each other, right? So if they weren't like trustworthy people, how would they function in groups? Period.
Well, just
like how do like this is what I've been thinking about lately is that even, statists, as some people call them, right? Like people, members of Congress, people that are there, like they're publicly acknowledging what it is they do, what it is they stand for. They are government and they're saying, I am your representative. This is what I do.
They claim they're the representative. They don't acknowledge that what they do is theft
everybody
and
knows
murder.
what the function of government is.
Right.
And they are saying that I'm running for office. I'm going to hold this position. I'm going to do this job. Essentially, they're doing it publicly, though, right?
They do,
Where there's a lot
but
more
do they
people that
public-
use fraud, deception, all of these other things that pretend to be good people that are really terrible people.
Do they come out and say, you know what, if elected, I will meet with every lobbyist in D.C. I promise that I will go out to dinner with these guys and let them...
Their campaign contributions are on public record.
I promise
right?
that...
Well,
I promise I will do my best to hide every golf outing and island vacation trip that these guys put me on.
every president that's ever been elected has always gone to Martha's Vineyard once a month. I used to live on the Cape. They all come.
But there's never an option on the ballot. There's never an option on the ballot of, I don't want somebody in this position.
Right. Just none of the above.
Yeah, that's not a binding option.
So I understand what
anywhere.
you're saying. This what we have
Should
today
wage
is
a write-in
the
campaign.
result of thousands of years, literally thousands of years of trying to figure out how to get government right.
Yeah, but are
Literally.
we entitled to anything? You think we're entitled to anything?
I think I'm entitled to the fruits of my own labor.
You're entitled to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Then we're not even entitled to rights. We're not entitled to sugar.
I am, because
You know what I
my
mean?
rights predated your government.
Okay, but that's your opinion, right?
No. That's a belief held
What are we
commonly
entitled to, though, right? Like, we all are autonomous in the sense that we make decisions
Do
that are
you
in our
own
own best
yourself?
interest, right?
Do you own yourself?
I make decisions on a daily basis.
Do you own your body?
I don't know.
Do you own your body and your mind?
I make decisions.
I believe I do.
I can say I do, but it's not going to stop somebody that wants to do me harm from coming and doing me harm. Like,
Right.
I can have that little false sense of security, but it's
then
not
do you
going to
have a
stop
right-
anybody from coming and doing
No,
what
but do you have a right to then defend yourself against them?
I have the right to make decisions, and that's what I'll continue to do.
Dave, thank you for the call. Your
Thanks, David.
calls and thoughts, welcome. How did government come to be? Do we really know what government is? Do we really know anything? This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
North Korea openly threatens the U.S. and launches a new missile every other week. Their warhead of choice? Electromagnetic pulse. Such an event would cripple the U.S. power grid for years and leave millions in the dark. Are you ready? You can be with a Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator. Solarc works day in and day out to keep your essentials protected. You can have peace of mind knowing your power will be there when you most need it. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to see EMP testing. That's PortableSolarLLC.com. Energy insurance for your family.
Hello, Mr. Anderson. The NSA has noticed how much time you spend on conservative news sites. We have no choice but to consider you a domestic terrorist.
Tired of your internet activity being monitored by Big Brother? Get virtualshield.com, the world's easiest to use virtual private network. Browse the web anonymously, leaving pesky advertisers and spies in the dust. Get started today at virtualshield.com. Take advantage of our free 30-day trial. Virtualshield.com. You have the right to remain private.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 12th, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.21 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,295 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 5.6 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $5,220. Antiwar.com reports that Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy was seeking clarification Wednesday on whether or not Catalonia had declared independence. He has also placed an ultimatum on an independence bid, giving Catalan leaders 8 days to drop the matter entirely. Rajoy says that if Catalonia does not abandon its independence by then, he will apply Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution, allowing him to seize Catalonia, oust its regional government, and take away its autonomous status to make it directly ruled. Catalonia did declare independence on Tuesday, but Catalan President Carles Puigdemont suspended implementing the declaration at the time, anticipating talks with Spain. Rajoy has ruled out talks, however, and has focused on threatening the Catalan leadership. Catalonians voted overwhelmingly to secede on October 1st, despite violent crackdowns by Spanish police that injured over 800 voters. Spain has threatened to charge Catalan leaders with sedition against the crown for supporting independence and allowing a vote to take place at all. Analysts familiar with the political situation in Catalonia say the regional government is likely to fall either way. If Puigdemont affirms independence, Spain will invade, and if he does not, the pro-secession parties will withdraw from the government and cost it a majority. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports California Governor Jerry Brown on Wednesday said nearly 24 wildfires throughout the state could cost tens of billions of dollars as officials increased the death toll to 21. Brown and other state and federal emergency officials offered an update on the fires, primarily in the northern part of the state, in a midday news conference. Sheriff Rob Giordino said in Sonoma County, 670 people were reported missing and 110 people have been found safe. CAL FIRE Chief Ken Pimlott said that despite a brief respite from high winds on Tuesday, poor weather continued to plague the state. On Wednesday, the state was under a red flag warning due to high winds. Pimlott said that despite rainfall last year, California was still impacted by 5 years of drought. Brown added, "It's going to cost a lot of money. This will be tens of billions of dollars." Pimlott said about 8,000 firefighters are battling the blazes, along with a variety of helicopters, air tankers, drones, and other aircraft used to fight fires. He said fire departments from the states of Washington, Oregon, and Nevada were sending fire engines and other assistance. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports President Donald Trump suggested challenging licenses for NBC and other broadcast news networks on Wednesday, a salvo that followed reports of his own Secretary of State had called him a moron after a discussion of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Trump posted on Twitter, "With all the fake news coming out of NBC and the networks, at what point is it appropriate to challenge your licenses? Bad for country." Trump and his supporters have repeatedly used the term fake news to cast doubt on critical media reports about his administration, often without providing any evidence to support their case that the reports were untrue. Trump kept up his criticism of the media in an appearance with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday, saying, "It is frankly disgusting the press is able to write whatever it wants to write." Any move to challenge media companies' licenses, however, would likely face significant hurdles. The FCC does not license broadcast networks, but does issue licenses to individual stations that are renewed on a staggered basis for 8-year periods. Gordon Smith, the chief executive of the National Association of Broadcasters, defended the media's free speech rights, saying it is contrary to the fundamental right for any government official to threaten the revocation of an FCC license simply because of a disagreement with the reporting of a journalist. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Gourmet chef Ted Allen is here. He's the author of the new cookbook, Pretentious Foodie Bullshit, and he's going to show us how to cook some fussy little foodie dishes for you and all your asshole friends. Welcome back to the show, Ted. What sort of stupid, over-elaborate, fancy-ass meal are you going to make for us today?
We're going to cook one of the very most pretentious dishes in my cookbook.
Oh.
It's a stupid, trendy piece of fish coated in some kind of nut you've never heard of, served alongside a puree of baby something or other.
Oh, great!
Sounds annoying.
Let's get started.
Okay, have at it.
First, it's very important to choose the most expensive type of fish you can find for some vague environmental reason that you can then parrot back to your faux intellectual gay wad dinner party guests.
Okay.
And now I assume all these other ingredients are organic and locally sourced and all that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about the pureed baby turnips, Ted?
You must blanch them for 30 seconds, then you shock them in an ice bath. Peel them, then boil them again with a little sugar, thyme, and a pinch of salt.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off hour number 3. You can join us by calling toll-free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The us in studio is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we started off talking about FOIA request, and then we talked about some of the federal overreach, the difference between Federalist, Anti-Federalist, SLAPP lawsuits. SLAPP being an acronym for, I forget exactly what, but it's basically a way that governments can shut down activists that they don't like. Then talked a good bit about secession. Hopefully, we'll get into some of the new updates with the National Football League and the standing during the national anthem, because there was a news report a couple days ago that the NFL owners were going to talk about a rule change at their upcoming meeting. Now the NFL and the National Football League Players Association have said that there's not going to be discussion about changing the current policy. And what actually is the current policy? Because a lot of people don't actually know what the current policy in the NFL is regarding the national anthem.
I took the time to actually go to the NFL, and it's not easy to find the list of rules and regulations for the NFL.
And it's not actually in the rule book.
It's not.
But Sports Illustrated did some digging, and they found what the policy is. But first, to the phones, where we've got my other brother, Darryl, calling in from Texas. Darryl, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, well, you guys are wondering where government came from. Well, there's a book out there called Guns, Germs, and Steel, and I highly recommend everybody read it. And
what's the subject of the book?
Yeah, the subject of the book is the main subject of the book is more of why, Europe and America became like the sole technological superpowers of the world, and why other parts of the world didn't. But there's a few paragraphs in the book where he does describe kind of where government came from. And where they came from were a couple places. One place was when people were growing food, and they needed a place to store it for the winter. You would have a guy who says, "Man, I got this huge place to store it for you. If you give me a share of the food, I'll store it for you. I'll keep it safe." And that's one place where they say it got. Another place where it got started was you would have people around the area growing food. Well, you have people come, to sell stuff to the walk to the property and sell stuff to the different farmers for stuff they needed, like farming tools or stuff for their animals, whatever they needed. Well, you always have that one jerk farmer that would kill someone because he just happened to walk on his property, and to stop it, they would have someone go around to keep him from doing silly stuff like that. And so some of the stuff that where government started was not like people forcing their way into being in charge. It was kind of evolved from stuff like that. Now, there were stuff where government started by the guy saying, "Hey, I'm in charge. I'm the biggest, baddest guy, and I got all the people with the weapons behind me to back me up." But he did explain where some ways government did get started.
Interesting. It's interesting specifically because I can look at both of those examples and go, well, it sounds like a free market solution.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
the
did we need to get government at that point?
But
yeah,
the difference
I know what you're saying, though.
Oh, you live next to this other guy, so therefore you give me money too. But I don't want your service. It doesn't matter. You give me money too. Otherwise, I'll be the one that comes and steals your stuff. You don't want somebody stealing your stuff, do you? Give me 10% to prevent me from stealing all of it.
Yeah. He didn't go into that far, but he did call like certain types of government, you'll love this, kleptocracy. I hope I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, which I thought, the guys on Free Talk Live ought to hear that. They'll get a kick out of it, calling governments kleptocracy.
That's basically what they are.
Pretty accurate. Yeah.
Darryl, any further thoughts?
That's it.
All right. Yep. Thank you for the call.
Mm-hmm.
So let's delve into the NFL story again.
Thank God.
Because there's a lot of discussion.
When we talk about stuff I actually know a little bit about.
There's a lot of discussion about whether or not NFL players are required to stand during the national anthem.
You guys want to hear a fun fact?
You've got Donald Trump saying that they should be fired, that they should be kicked out of the league. But what does the policy say? And give us your fun fact.
Okay, so ESPN is the only Facebook page I've ever been banned from commenting. I can no longer comment on ESPN because of Deflategate.
Oh, you embroiled yourself in that.
I consider that like a badge of honor, though,
Right.
like as a Patriot fan.
And Deflategate has nothing at all to do with the national anthem.
I'm just saying, but the NFL itself is like, the Deflategate was the beginning of this battle between Tom Brady and the NFL and ESPN. Like, it goes deep, okay, Darryl? Okay? This is something
like
I know
a real
about.
paranoid Patriots fan.
The New England Patriots fans are the only ones that still care about Deflategate. Everybody else forgot about
Tom
it
Brady
several years ago.
stood up against the NFL.
That
and
the
there's-
guy with the pump on the grassy knoll.
Roger Goodell.
I saw the video.
So
snake.
The NFL rulebook does not mention the national anthem at all, but the game operations manual does. And here's what it says. And there are words that they use that you really need to pay attention to the words, because words are very, very important. Policy manual says the national anthem must be played prior to every NFL game, and all players must be on the sideline for the national anthem. During the anthem, players on the field and bench area should stand at attention, face the flag, hold helmets in their left hand, and refrain from talking.
Should.
So if you take a knee, then you're violating, maybe not really, because it doesn't say you must.
It says you should.
You should. If you hold your helmet in your right hand instead of your left, and I've seen guys do that, where they hold the helmet in the right hand and hold that helmet over their heart.
Oh, dear.
That, according to the policy, is the same level of disrespect for, blah-de-da as taking a knee. But again, it's not an actual violation because it doesn't say you must. It says you should. The home team should ensure that the American flag is in good condition. It should be pointed out to players and coaches that we continue to be judged by the public in the area of respect for the flag and our country. Failure to be on the field at the start of the national anthem may result in discipline. Such as fine, suspensions, and or forfeiture of draft choices for violation of the above, including a first offense. It says nothing about taking a knee may subject you to discipline. It says failure to be on the field.
Okay. So here's what I take away from this. Like any good artistic production, anything that is put out there for entertainment, it makes sense to have rules and guidelines about how things are going to go. In a play, when you go to deliver your line, stand on spot 4 to the front left of the stage.
Correct.
So I expect these things out of them. I've always been of the opinion of the NFL owners or the NFL Association wants to come up with a law and says you're required to stand on your head during the Star Spangled Banner, then that's fine. It's a private organization. I just get the thing that drives me nuts is this, to me, was never about disrespect. It was about protest.
Right. And let's talk about protest, because the New York Times has an article that says NFL players actually have an ally in their protest: labor law. Let's delve into that. The article begins, as NFL team owners consider, and this was written before they announced that they're not actually going to discuss this at their upcoming meeting, as they consider Donald Trump's call to fire players who refuse to stand for the anthem. They have stumbled into one of the most consequential debates in today's workplace. How far can workers go in banding together to address problems related to their employment? And we'll talk about it, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
I got my Blink Home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge charge you for one, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Earlier this year, after many years of conflict over the direction of Bitcoin, the creators of Bitcoin Cash did just what they were told to do. They forked off. Now there are two Bitcoins, the one that is run by the big bank patsies, and Bitcoin Cash, the one that stays true to the creator's vision. Bitcoin Cash has surprised many with its relevancy and staying power, and the price reflects it. If you believe that Bitcoin was meant to be a low-cost, easy-to-use, peer-to-peer currency that could bring economic freedom to the world, you need Bitcoin Cash. Get your Bitcoin Cash wallet right now at bitcoin.com.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash and help us build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org. That's dash.org.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And let's talk about nutritional supplements for a moment. Over 60% of Americans take a nutritional supplement, and for good reason. Nutrient depletion of our soil, coupled with dependence on processed foods, has left most people deficient in essential nutrients. But where do you start? If you go to a naturopath, you'll likely be told that a cheap vitamin and mineral supplement just doesn't cut it. You also need probiotics, enzymes, antioxidants, and other nutrients. By the time it's all said and done, you're buying 5 bottles of product and spending about $150 a month. If this is a situation you've experienced, then you need to know about Whole Food Multi-Complete. For 15 years, Whole Food Multi-Complete has been quietly providing what the big guys want: the perfect blend of 7 supplements in a single product. They've taken the expense and complexity out of following a complete supplement program. Visit simplifymysupplements.com to learn more. Enter coupon code FTL to get 10% off your order every time you order. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. And they take Bitcoin. Now, when you order with Bitcoin, you actually have to click order with Bitcoin and then send them an email using their website and enter code FTL in the message that you send them when you tell them what it is you want to order, and you get that 10% discount off your order every time you order. Talking about the NFL, the player protest, and sort of the underlying issue here, to where a lot of people have tried turning this into some kind of disrespect for the flag sort of thing, when that was not at all the intent of the protest. The intent of the protest was to protest police abuse, to protest specifically police abuse of minorities.
And to be clear, that protest began with Colin, and I can never pronounce Kaepernick. That's what he came out and said when he did it.
Correct.
And then other people said, I agree with Colin, so I'm going to do it.
Yes.
I don't recall, and maybe it happened, that somebody came out and said, you know what? I just think the United States sucks. I don't appreciate the flag. I don't respect the flag. Particularly, I don't like our veterans. I don't like our military. Therefore, I'm going to take a knee.
Yeah,
I've never
heard that.
I never heard that from anyone.
Yeah, nor have I. But it's, one of these things that, as Donald Trump would say, that's fake news. And it's meant to sort of discredit and, say that your protest is not valid because I don't understand your protest, so I'm going to say it's about this other thing to totally discredit your protest.
Well, this is like one of those moments where I feel like when all the hype was going on over the kneeling and the standing or whatever, that I was just like, no matter what I say, someone's going to be unhappy.
Right, and that's how life is when you're, a somewhat public figure. No matter what you say, somebody's going to be unhappy. Somebody's going to take what you say completely out of context.
Well, that's why I don't necessarily fault every person that runs for office and gets elected and then realizes oh crap, everyone's barking up my behind, and
I've been that guy.
You see every president that gets elected, they age so fast in 4 years, and I'm like, that there's got to be a certain level of anxiety and stress and craziness that goes on when you're in that high of a position, and there's so many people downline. You don't know who to trust, who to believe, what to think. Everything's coming at you.
Heather, I spent 2 years as a local official here in New Hampshire. I'm 22 years old.
Well, here's the thing. So
you're saying, wow, you grade really fast.
So on the whole, they age really fast sort of thing. Well, if you look at pictures of anybody from 4 years ago, you're going to be like, wow, they look so different.
I know, and they tend to start out being older.
You cannot deny that in D.C., politicians and stuff that high up, they age faster than the average person.
I'm not going to say they age faster.
What I will say is they spend too much time, and they spend an awful lot of time there. It's like, wow, look at this politician. When he first got there, he looked so young. Well, this guy's been there for 30 years. I mean, for God's sakes. Back to protests, though. I have a certain respect for some of the people that disagreed with the kneeling. And what did they do? They got up out of their seats after the national anthem, and they left, which I think was a great form of protest. Vice President Pence.
Yes, but he's not calling his thing a protest.
Well, that was absolutely a protest.
Right.
Pence didn't like the fact that they did not
a safe space.
They did not stand for the national anthem. They took a knee. So he protested by leaving the stadium.
My thing is,
that protest cost taxpayers how much money?
I think $250,000.
Yeah. Well, how amazing is it, right, that we live in a country where we can kneel or stand without being thrown in a cage. Like, that's a positive thing. So let's think positive, America.
What about your president who's calling for these people to be fired, lose their jobs because of that?
Well, he's still a person and has an opinion.
He
That's
does.
good for him.
He is also... Isn't there a federal law that says that federal officials should not interfere in private contracts?
I'm not even going to comment because Donald Trump's a Tom Brady fan.
Jeez.
So I'm a little...
But you know what I mean? There is a federal law, and I'll pull that up. I'll find it.
Continuing with the article from the New York Times where they say that the players actually have an ally, labor law, to the extent that most people think the reach of federal labor law, they probably imagine a union context, like organizing workers or bargaining as a group across the table for management. As it happens, the law is much more expansive, protecting any concerted activities that employees engage in to support one another in the workplace, whether a union is involved or not. The National Labor Relations Board and the courts have defined such activity to include everything from airing complaints about one's boss through social media to publicly supporting political causes that have some bearing on one's work life.
I don't agree with the union thing.
Well, I'm going to read a little bit of U.S. Code. 18 U.S. Code 227, wrongfully influencing a private entity's employment decisions by a member of Congress.
Legalese or plain English?
It's going to be a little bit of both. I'll make it plain English, but wrongful influencing a private entity's employment decisions by a member of Congress or an officer or employee of the legislative or executive branch, whoever, being a covered governmental person with the intent to influence solely on the basis of partisan political affiliation, an employment decision or employee practice of any entity. Basically, it lists a number of ways that they can. It specifically includes the president, the vice president, an employee, or the U.S. Postal Service, postal regulations. The fine can be up to, let me see where that's, 15 years in prison. That's it. Shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 15 years.
Your calls and thoughts. Welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What are your thoughts on undue influence of private contracts? Standing, kneeling, closing both eyes, hopping on one foot. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Chad here, owner of Infidel Body Armor. With the shooting in Vegas, there will be calls to ban guns and body armor. You can expect prices to rise dramatically in the coming weeks as gun grabbers try to outlaw your freedom. If you don't have your armor kit yet, you're behind the curve. Don't miss your window of opportunity. Go to infidelbodyarmor.com and click on Specials. That's infidelbodyarmor.com.
With nearly 70 years of history engineering bunkers, today, Atlas Survival Shelters is still the authority. Atlas offers 18 different choices, from commercial tornado shelters to underground nuclear fallout shelters, starting at just $99.99 with 100% financing available, comfortable interiors, and state-of-the-art air filtration systems. Atlas Survival Shelters are the most popular private survival shelters in the world. Call 1-855-4BUNKER now or visit atlassurvivalshelters.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And let's say that you don't have the ability, for whatever reason, to listen to the show live. Maybe you work a graveyard shift, and so you're asleep when we're live, but you still want to listen to the show, and you don't want to use all of the data on your phone, but you've got unlimited minutes. Wouldn't it be great if there was a telephone number you could call to listen live? Or not live, but listen on demand. Well, there is, and you can. 641-793-9660. Never miss any of the live shows from the Liberty Radio Network. So you've got Free Talk Live, Declare Your Independence, The Freedom Fiends, The Angel Clark Show, and several others. Again, you can listen live or on demand, 641-793-9660. Plus, you can even leave us messages by pressing 0 and leaving us a message. Let's get back into the article here from the New York Times about the NFL players' protest and, well, how they're actually protected by federal labor law. Not because they're unionized, but because federal labor law protects organized activities involving employers. Benjamin Sachs, a labor law professor at Harvard University, says workers without a traditional organization that is meant to protect them at work are kind of scrambling around for new ways of protecting themselves. It does feel like these are nascent forms of something new. To be protected under federal law, an employee's actions must be conducted in concert with coworkers. It must address an issue of relevance to their job, and it must be carried out using appropriate means. Workers can't, for instance, damage property or threaten violence. If the workers have a collective bargaining agreement with their employer that forbids certain actions like striking, they can't do that either. However, many experts believe that some of the recent protests by NFL players meet all three of those conditions. Again, must be in concert with coworkers, must address an issue of relevance to their job, and must be carried out using appropriate means. And because the NFL protests meet those conditions, as a result, the teams cannot discipline or fire them for taking part. These experts point to a 1978 case in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that workers have a right to engage in political advocacy as long as the political theme relates to their job. In 2008, General Counsel of the National Labor Relations Board, which enforces federal labor law, issued a guidance making clear that workers had a right to publicly demonstrate for or against immigration legislation pending in Congress, though they didn't have the right to skip work to do so. Chris, you appear to have something on your... No? you had that look.
I was just taking everything in. Heather, you have some opinions on this.
You definitely have opinions about the National Football League,
right.
But are any of them related to the protest here and whether or not they can be fired as the president wants them to be?
Well, I mean, that's his opinion, though. Like,
right.
I mean, I can just picture Donald Trump spouting off yeah, he should be fired. They should be fired or whatever. But is he actually taking recourse to try to influence the NFL's decision, or was he just being Donald Trump and spouting off at the mouth?
Yeah.
Probably the latter, but with Trump, you never know. He also posted a couple days ago on Twitter that NBC's broadcast license should be revoked. Here's some news. If NBC as a network does not have a broadcast license, independently owned and operated stations have a broadcast license. Stations owned and operated by NBC have a license, but NBC does not have a license. ABC does not have a license. Free Talk Live does not. There's no federal license that says Free Talk Live gets to exist.
Right.
Here's what I don't understand is all the righteous NFL players, that are making a big stink about this. Where's the outrage at the fact that the NFL hires rapists and people that punch their girlfriends, and Michael Vick or whatever his name is that was in the dog fighting? I mean, there's so many more things to be outraged about when it comes to the NFL. I mean, Tom Brady, what happened to him with Deflategate? The NFL, I'm serious.
I know he was railroaded.
He was fined 10 times more and punished for games for allegedly deflating a football, but some dude can punch his girlfriend out in an elevator
and I agree with you completely.
No penalty from the NFL. So it's just you look at that, and you know what? Tom Brady was a victim, and the NFL was the monster, and Tom Brady took him on like a beast because he's Tom Brady. You might not like him because he happens to win, and he steals your ego validation if you happen to be a fan of another team.
I have no opinion of Tom Brady at all.
I think like Tom
the guy
Brady.
stood up.
I neither like nor dislike the man. I have no opinion of him.
I think there is some good character in him as a human being.
He stood up when an organization was. I think we can all agree that they were taking measures against him that were not in line with measures taken against other players for lesser things.
It's corruption. There's a lot of money in football, just like there is politics, okay?
But I think the point is does the president, with his bully pulpit, with the federal labor, what department am I thinking
of? If the president
National Labor Relations Board.
Yeah, and he influences our labor laws. Can he stand up there and call for players to be fired? And is that even right? I just the whole thing.
No,
it's just.
I mean, I think he's entitled to his opinion, but.
Right, but he can't use his position as president of the United States to try to influence private contracts. Now, let's think for a second.
Well, how do you prove what his intent is for sharing his opinion, whether it's to influence or to just...
I think in a court of law, you could just pull up Twitter.
Right, so let's go back in time about 10, 12 years. Imagine what sort of outcry there would be if George Bush would have just been posting stupid stuff on Twitter all day long. There are enough reasons to think that George Bush was an idiot, but spending all day on Twitter would just sort of further that. But now you've got people that are like, oh, look, Donald Trump's doing policy on Twitter. Isn't that amazing that, we've come this far to where presidents can just, use Twitter?
Hey, here's my point.
What?
I've always been fairly active on social media. And this is going back to 2007 when I first sort of started on social media. But Trump tweets more than I ever posted on Facebook, more than I ever tweeted, more than I
Do you
ever
think it's
posted.
him every time, though?
He
Or do you think
claims
he's
it
got
is.
like publicists and stuff that are doing it just to keep him, in the news and current and relevant?
I'm looking at October 10th, 10 tweets. I'm just sitting there going, I don't have enough time in the course of my day to put together thoughts and blast
I find
it out there.
It's so weird when all these old politicians are using like social media. Like, I'm surprised you had Snapchat, Chris. I'm like, what?
Of course. That doesn't mean I use it. It just means that I've loaded it up at some point, but it's still there.
You had
an
it.
account.
Because they always give anybody that's listening, these two always give me crap for being so much younger. So today I kind of stuck it to them. I was like,
right,
so
like
you guys
graduated
too old
high
to
school
have
a month ago.
Right.
Okay. Sorry. Are you on Medicare yet, Darryl?
No.
Nice one.
Give me about a month and a half, I think.
Oh, God.
Right? You
when
can
I
get
stick
that,
you guys in a home?
I, for the record, am the oldest host on Free Talk Live.
Oh,
yes.
By decades.
32.
I have to hold the door for him when he comes in. He's like,
no. A little feeble.
The article here from New York Times.
Tennis balls for the bottom.
Continues. It says Matthew Bodie, a law professor at St. Louis University, who is a former attorney for the Labor Board, says that the precedent set by various courts suggests that federal labor law would most likely protect collective protest of players in the NFL, and that the president can't do anything about it. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories, while I say these hobgoblins are imaginary. I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Attention type 2 diabetics. If you or a loved one has taken Invokana, Invokamet, or Invokamet XR or other inhibitors for type 2 diabetes and suffered amputation of the toes, feet, or legs, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA has warned that Invokana, Invokamet, or Invokamet XR and other inhibitors for type 2 diabetes cause an increased role in amputations of the toes, feet, and legs. If you or a loved one has taken Invokana, Invokamet, or Invokamet XR or other inhibitors for type 2 diabetes and suffered amputation of the toes, feet, or legs, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-475-7607. That's 800-475-7607. Again, 800-475-7607. Call now. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. www.injuryhelpdesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
You're putting your name, address, credit card number, social security number, all that. You're just chucking it right up onto the internet where any disgusting degenerate can grab it. The only way to make sure that your identity is never stolen is to change it every 3 years. That's what I do. 2 years ago, I was Ellen Foxcroft, attorney at law. 3 years before that, I was Trish Homingwood, patient at the Austin State Psychiatric Hospital. And 3 years before that, I was Regina Dupree, lead singer of the soul group Derriere. And you know what? None of my identities has ever been stolen. So to make sure that your personal information stays safe, you gotta follow some simple steps. First, you're gonna need new pieces of identification, right? But don't worry, old Shelby knows a guy up in Detroit, can fix these up pronto, real cheap. Next, you're gonna have to fake your own death. But all that takes is a mold of your teeth, a corpse, and a $500 used car for setting on fire.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Got a question for you real quick. How would you like to try the best pillow you'll ever use risk-free for 60 days? Talking about My Pillow. It's designed to fit to the shape of your body, hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using this thing for about 18 months now, and I can honestly say it's the best pillow I've ever had. And unlike a regular pillow that winds up collecting dirt and dead skin, it'll still collect it, but you can throw the My Pillow in the washer, throw it in the dryer, and it's still usable. Go to mypillow.com. Use code FTL to get your very own My Pillow at half price or get a second pillow free of charge. Again, that's mypillow.com, code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. And remember, if for some reason you don't like the pillow in the first 60 days, you get your money back. And the pillow itself is guaranteed to last you 10 years. That's mypillow.com, code FTL. mypillow.com, code FTL. Let's go to the phones. We've got Sarah calling in from Albuquerque. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts. Sarah I guess I didn't press that hard enough.
Can you hear me?
Can.
I got you now.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I have to speak a little bit louder on the speaker.
Yep. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, it was announced that around 37,000 people were killed in auto-related crashes or accidents. So, I think 37,000 families have lost their loved ones, right? It affected that many families, but I'm the only one that calls and talks about it and make a big deal about it. How could people lose their loved ones to auto accidents and just accept it? That's what's baffling.
It's interesting, Sarah, but we also came across this statistic. I think Darryl found it, didn't you?
I think so.
Yeah. And we figured you'd be calling about it.
So, Sarah, let me ask this question. Hold on. Let me ask this question. And I know it's something that I've asked you previously. What is your proposed solution for getting that number down to 0?
Well, I don't know if it's a possibility of coming down to 0, but I think automated self-driving cars, but that's going to take away our jobs. Actually it will. The truck driving jobs, the driver jobs, bus driver jobs. But I think that's the best alternative to get those here so that we could reduce the fatalities. And I'm sure that there's going to be glitches in the computers, that they're going to have some problems, that we're going to always have some sort of fatalities.
Right.
But I'm just bringing this up because it seems like how would you like it if your brother or sister or your family, you hear that they were killed because there was a sudden rainstorm?
Well, I have
and 10
lost.
cars piled up.
I have
well,
lost.
If they have self-driving cars, do you think that given today's technology, people could hack self-driving cars. I mean, couldn't that become more dangerous?
That's certainly an issue of concern.
Because it's been demonstrated that it's possible. And in one case, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around the death of, what was his name? I can't remember.
The guy from Fast and Furious? Is that right?
No. It was a gentleman who was a writer. I'll pull the name
up. The report, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name. It's not really that important, but there is the theory that his car was hacked.
Right. And, Sarah, I guess what I would say is this is like anything else. We all want to mitigate risk. We want to lower the chance that somebody's going to be injured by anything. But we... On this show, at least, we don't want to sacrifice our freedoms chasing something that may or may not work. So again, to me, if car manufacturers, and look at what they're doing without regulation. Now we have new cars that are coming out with front radar systems that detect items in the road. We're coming out with cars, and one of the hosts on Free Talk Live just got a car that has it beeps if he changes lanes. It beeps if he's too close in front of a vehicle. It actually brakes. It helps him brake if he approaches too close to the vehicle in front of him based on his speed and road conditions and all this stuff. These are things that companies are just coming up with, going, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? Let's see if people are willing to pay for it. And guess what? They are. So as we look at, just what's capable in the free market without involving government, we're getting safer all the time. Where we really got away from being safe in automobiles is back in the 70s when they started mandating that cars have to get X number of miles per gallon. And then you had this switch from the 3,000 pounds of steel that protected you when you were inside of a vehicle to a Dodge Omni that weighed like 1,500 pounds.
It actually started before that. It started in the 60s when a lot of the auto companies were adding safety features on their own.
Right.
And they were coming up with all of these new innovations. And then some bureaucrat decided, oh, you know what? We're going to mandate X. And then everybody sort of got complacent of, oh, yeah, the across-the-chest seatbelt. That's what we're going to do because that's what's mandated.
Right.
If you had a 5-point harness like they do in NASCAR,
right,
that's going to be a lot more secure, but 5-point harness, not in compliance with federal regulations.
Yeah. So
you know what?
Go ahead.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't, every angle, if it's a government angle, if it's a volunteer free market angle, as far as I'm concerned, I'll take all of the angles every which way, because 37,000 people and all of our fatalities going up every which way, motorcycle, pedestrian fatalities. I need to talk about it. Somebody needs to talk about it and bring it up because.
Right. And something else and I don't know how far past the headline you actually got on reading the article, but something else that was mentioned was the total miles traveled has also gone up. So the number of deaths has risen at about the same rate as the miles traveled. So, it's being reported as, this huge increase, but the amount of traveling people have done has also increased.
Well, then there you go, Darryl. Then the solution then is to let nobody leave their house except one person, and they can deliver everything that every other person needs. So there'll only ever be one person on the road. Impossible for him to get into a car accident.
No, it's not, because there have been people that...
He could drink and drive.
No, animal runs out in front of you. How many people... We live in New Hampshire. How many people have ever hit a moose? How many people have ever run into a deer? How many people have, hit a patch of ice in the wintertime and skidded off the road?
I saw a porcupine the other day.
Sarah mentioned the rainstorm earlier.
Right.
You get a rainstorm where there's a big puddle of water in the road, and you hit the brakes to try to avoid it, and then you hydroplane and slide off the road. So there's not ever going to be a way to say, oh, well, self-driving cars get rid of all of this, because self-driving car can still run over a patch of ice. Self-driving car can still hydroplane.
Well, then we're going to need hover cars.
I'm all for self-driving cars if the technology is sound. I love the idea of going out, climbing in my car, and let it take me to work. I could read. I could do all kinds of things. I see a benefit to that. The question is when they do become widely available, where will the cost justify it for me?
And what other new unexpected problems will arise?
Well, I can think of several problems that would arise currently with self-driving cars in New Hampshire. What happens in the wintertime when you can't see the white line or the yellow line?
Right.
There's a big pile of snow on the side. Does the self-driving car interpret that as a pile of snow, or there's nothing there?
Well, you talk about like state of the technology today. I don't think of that. I think of what it's going to be in 5 years and 10 years and things like that. And these systems are going to get much smarter than they are today. But, to put that number in perspective, more people die in the U.S. of flu than they do in automobile crashes.
Right. And how many people died from lung cancer last year? How many people died of heart disease? How many people died of just old age? How many people died from complications from Alzheimer's?
Heart disease, somewhere around 633,000. Cancer, somewhere around 595,000. And every one of those deaths, and there's technology being applied to each one of these areas. And I hope we reduce the number of percentage number of people who die from heart disease and cancer, because those are much bigger hacks at the people dying than people hit by cars. But I hope we do better with protecting people in automobile accidents too. Why not?
Sarah, thank you for the call. That's all for tonight. Now, if you're a pedestrian and you're walking across the street, look both ways before you cross the street. We don't want you being hit by a car. We don't want you to become a statistic. We're always online at freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS